Another year, another 5 or 6 traumatic memories all repressed by retreating deep into escapist entertainment. Welcome to Superhero Holiday Specials 2025, my favorite tradition on the channel. That I can keep doing for at least 3 or 4 more years if I really ration out Teen Titans Go Christmas episodes, because they have several. We've got a lot to cover this year, but first, if you'll indulge me, a word from our sponsor to keep the Christmas lights on. Special thanks to Opera Browser for sponsoring this video. Opera's desktop browser comes with a host of specialized features that other browsers can't compete with for making your life online easier. The split-screen browser feature lets you work in 2 tabs at once, which makes researching and writing videos easier for me. Just drag a tab down and drop it next to the other. You don't need multiple browser windows. Opera also has customizable animated themes, and I love the colors and ambient music from the ESEN theme in particular. And if you're one of those people who never closes your tabs and has 30 of them open at once like my friend William, you can easily keep track with tab traces. It's a subtle underline that tells you which tab you used most recently. The darker the underline, the more recent the tab you visited, so you don't have to endlessly switch through them. Easily control the videos you're watching with the pop-out feature. Simply detach and move. A multitasker's dream. If you're like me and want to watch videos while you're working in another window. You can do the same with the music player as well, which is compatible with 7 different music services: Spotify, Apple Music, Amazon Music, YouTube Music, Deezer, Tidal, and SoundCloud. Music automatically pauses when you start a video, offering a seamless, more convenient experience, all without any extra clicks. Opera's a great browser if you work at home like I do and have a lot of information to keep track of or need to multitask. Check out Opera today by clicking the link in the description or my pinned comment. Now back to the video. Alright, we're starting this year off right with a highly requested episode, the Guardians of the Galaxy Christmas Special. I've historically had some major problems with the continuity surrounding these shows, but I think this series is one of the better ones from this era of Marvel cartoons. It has a great voice cast, solid art design, and they can afford licensed music. This is Jingle Bell Rock, featuring the movie-inspired Guardians, not the comic-inspired Guardians that hung out with the Hulk the previous year. Let's not get into that again. Around the holidays, the Guardians are completing a bounty on a thief, but it turns out their client is an evil dirtbag hoarding wealth in his castle full of killer robots and driving the nearby community into extreme poverty with his misdeeds. Somehow I don't think the Guardians would have tried to fight him until he attempted to rob and laser them to death in his nefarious fish-in-a-barrel treasure hole. But the old pop culture obsessed Star-Lord has a uniquely human plan to rectify their situation. Oh, they're gonna do a Christmas Carol on the old guy! He's not from Earth, so he wouldn't immediately get the reference. They might pull this off.
Now give me the key, or I will take you on a ghostly voyage. You'll revisit every choice that turned you into the universally despised scum you are.
Oh, no, never mind. He just pulled out a gun and started shooting at everyone. That's probably what Scrooge would have done in real life, too. He seems like the type to sleep with a .38 under his pillow in case the Poors get crafty and try to kidnap him in the dead of night. Sorry, Tiny Tim. Looks like there's no Christmas Carol with superheroes this year. The actual Christmas stuff in this episode is pretty muddled and obscured by the adventure. You only get a handful of flashbacks to Star-Lord's holidays as a kid, and it doesn't really amount to anything in the present day. These are mostly just cutaways to set the mood or him talking about the holiday to the team in general, who don't really seem to understand his Earthman customs. It's like a mostly unrelated Guardians romp with some imagery that vaguely resembles Christmas, like these elf-like aliens, the North Pole Village motif, and an antagonist reminiscent of Ebenezer Scrooge. But you could drop all the holiday references and this episode would mostly work without it. There's also not a clear Christmas spirit type message to parse here, like family is the greatest gift of all, or selflessness is more spiritually fulfilling than greed, or committing manslaughter on a mythological being will ruin your life if you're Tim Allen. All the classic stuff. It's not as cut and dry as usual because the action sequences take so much priority over the characters in this episode. I mean, you know, they still save the day in the end. That guy gets blown up.
What treasure of mine did you retrieve?
What the fuck?
I guess the key to having a good Christmas is to steal from the rich and corrupt, redistribute wealth to the downtrodden working class, and banish the 1% to the negative zone. Well, I don't disagree with any of this, especially lately. I just think I wanted something a little more sentimental, like for the villain to learn a lesson or the characters to feel like they became closer around this time of year. You know, that fake stuff that doesn't happen in real life, but makes you feel better. Not sure why this one was so requested. I think someone said Kevin Bacon was in it somewhere, but I don't see him anywhere in the cast list on the credits of the episode. I don't know, you guys might just be slipping in your old age. Alright, yeah, there's definitely a celebrity cameo in your cartoon Christmas special. Back to bed, Grandpa. You want a real celebrity cameo? How about Bobcat? You're old, you remember him. A Space Ghost Christmas. I've always been fascinated by this show's forward thinking. Why animate a brand new show when you can just chop up and redub animation from a show from decades ago and change the context of everything they're saying to be some goofy shit? But in the mid-90s! This is back before YouTube, when you had to get an official license and real television network broadcasting stations to make your shitpost parodies redubbing old cartoons with your buddies. 1994's Space Ghost Coast to Coast is an animated talk show hosted by the superhero from the Hanna-Barbera cartoon from 1966, with all of his old villains working as the crew. They reused old animation cells from the original show to have all the characters hanging out and having cringy, awkward interviews with celebrities, who only seem to have a partial understanding of what's going on.
I think it's much more along the lines of a fairy tale than it is straightforward science fiction.
Whatever, Professor. How's Chewie?
Chewie? Well, you know,
You and me both.
Man, you could trace so many shows back to this idea, all the abridged anime stuff on YouTube, Eric Andre's format on the same network decades later. All these forgettable villains from the old cartoon eventually become like a permanent part of Cartoon Network's branding. And even one of Adult Swim's biggest shows was a spin-off from this one-off gag about talking food mascots. I really appreciate Space Ghost. However, this special's not the best. In their 45-minute long Christmas special, Space Ghost does his usual thing. This show's not heavy on plot, it's got kind of a cozy vibe of eccentric characters just chilling and saying ridiculous non-sequiturs. Sometimes getting famous people involved. I can dig that, I do a little bit of that. But would you believe it? This one's actually a clip show that compiles a couple of previous episodes to pad out the length. The Christmassy stuff is all just a framing device where they drop in, sing some goofy songs, and then cut back to bits of older episodes. Well, that part's not as fun, because huge stretches of it aren't very Christmas-themed. But I mean, we do get to see Space Ghost goofing with Adam West and a few of the other 66 Batman cast members.
No time for lunch, Adam. Give me the book.
No.
Give me the book!
No.
You wimp.
Otherwise, the main Christmas segment is just reused animations with Santa hats edited onto characters. I do like this show, and obviously we owe a lot to it, but this special was a little disappointing. Instead of watching the full 45-minute version, I recommend the shorter one they put out later on re-releases with all the clip show stuff cut out. Although they still have the segues in there, and that could be a little confusing and jarring. Although it's less than 10 minutes and doesn't get off track from the more festive scenery and costumes. Except, you know, a huge portion of it is still just fever dream holiday songs performed by aliens and freaks in costumes.
On the first day of Christmas, my true love came to me. Hi, my name is Bragg.
Hey, Bobcat was in this show too, now that I think about it. I guess there's a space theme for this year's specials, which wasn't really planned, it just worked out that way when I picked these episodes at random. The premise of this show is that it was the in-universe cartoon that Andy from Toy Story watched, and his Buzz Lightyear action figure is merchandise based on the show. I could believe this was the story that made Andy love the character more than that craptacular movie with Buzz Lightyear time-traveling to bang his own mom or whatever.
He tried to f*** his mom.
Either way, Andy's toy is off-model from whichever version you decide is the canon source material. He's either got too many details or not enough. This would drive me crazy. I've always loved how this show didn't want to commit to what color Buzz's hair is, so he's never seen without his purple Snoopy cap, even in flashbacks. But enough of this meta show within a show framing device. Buzz Lightyear is a space-adventuring superhero backed by a team of 2 aliens and a sassy robot. And they travel the galaxy battling villains for Star Command, which is kinda like S.H.I.E.L.D. mixed with Starfleet, which is even indicative in their logo. This is one of those ones where they won't say the word Christmas. So even though they're Santa Claus and shit, they just say, the holiday.
I don't get this holiday stuff.
The holiday season.
Your holiday special.
Holiday spirit.
Let's save our holiday.
Wonder if that's a Disney thing. That Ultimate Spider-Man episode was like that too. There's a couple of archetypical formats Christmas specials tend to fall into. The ones we encounter most often here are, character needs to learn the true meaning of Christmas, Die-Hard adventure that just so happens to be during Christmas, and we gotta help Santa! Hey, it's Tim Allen!
You're mocking me, aren't you?
The actual real Santa Claus needs help from Star Command because he's been robbed! In a fully capable spaceflight society with hundreds of civilizations across various inhabited planets, Santa's logistical impossibility is increased 1,000-fold, so he relies on advanced alien technology to freeze time and allow him to deliver all the presents at his own pace across billions of homes in the galaxy nearly instantaneously.
And with time frozen, I could actually enjoy all the cookies and milk.
But in the hands of the evil Emperor Zurg, he can just use that same device to do some petty reverse flash bullshit to troll Buzz and friends and ruin the holiday. The holiday. I'm kind of baffled by the concept of all these aliens across 1,000 worlds all celebrating Christmas instead of having their own holidays and cultural traditions. Or just not caring about the winter season at all. Actually, winter is specific to Earth's orbit, so it probably wouldn't even be winter on most of these planets at the same time. Were there space missionaries introducing Christianity to a mostly agnostic galaxy 100 years ago, and now all these alien cultures feel compelled to shop at Black Friday sales in the Galactic Citadel? This future's strange. I never considered a space society of multiple alien species being infected by human traditions. We're like the Borg, but with consumerism. All will be assimilated into the hive mind of 80s nostalgia bait products and planned obsolescence in iPhones. Hundreds of different planets all have a crater somewhere filled with unsold Funkos. At first, the Space Rangers don't believe this guy is really Santa, but then he proves it and they take the case. This leads to a bizarrely badass fight sequence where Buzz has a jetpack that flies so fast he can keep up with Zurg in frozen time somehow. In the end, all of the alien technology ends up trashed. But they don't compare to the collective power of belief in Santa and Christmas.
The holiday.
So Santa goes back to his old classic sleigh to finish the job instead. It's kind of like that Ben 10 episode, but better. I recommend this one. It's fast-paced, action-packed, and pretty funny. And, you know, they hang out with Santa Claus. What more could you want? The fact that Disney squandered a show this good almost turned it into lost media that's barely preserved on pirate sites recorded from old broadcasts, and didn't see that Wayne Knight as Zurg is a generational top-tier casting is just so depressing.
I love traps. So, what now? Oh, I know. I'll give up. Ha ha. Like that's going to happen.
In the battle between Tim Allen and Chris Evans, doesn't matter, Uncle Ben. Patrick Warburton's better than both of them. You know, I made my list of episodes to review this year, and when I checked it twice, I realized that the Harley Quinn cartoon didn't have a Christmas episode. Just an episode with a fleeting scene about a memory of Christmas, which is a shame because I've wanted an opportunity to talk about this show for ages now. But hey, we got a ringer lined up from the Marvel HQ YouTube channel from back in November. And now gives me the ability to add Spider-Man to the video thumbnail once again. You guys can keep typing the joke all you want, but you only click on videos with him in the title and thumbnail, so you're forcing me into this situation. Perhaps it is time for you to confront that this life you've constructed for us both is truly a hell of your own making. And that's what the holidays are all about. Let's see Iron Man do that too. I went into this short expecting it to be a lot more kid-friendly because of its art style and the fact that it was posted on a Marvel YouTube channel, and while it is definitely geared towards a much younger audience, it's genuinely really cute and was a decent watch. The rigged animation is obviously very low budget, but the character designs have a certain charm to them that makes them endearing. They're so cute and colorful and maybe a little bit horribly cross-eyed. Then again, their costumes are a little distracting. What, Captain America can't have a normal costume anymore? It has to be detailed seam lines, dull-colored panels, and a layered tactical military vest? Hulk can't just have ripped-up purple pants? You have to put lines on that too? Okay, whatever. Nobody wants to hear me bash the MCU costumes for 40 minutes. At least Spidey is here in a fresh classic suit that's really spectacular coated. Someone knew ball when they designed him for this. Got the sleeves and the rounded logos and everything. He's dripped out compared to these super frauds. Wait, Shuri is Black Panther here. Oh man, that means this is probably their first Christmas without T'Challa. Ugh, how depressing. So the plot of this one is that Spidey visits the old Avengers Tower on Christmas Eve to check in with his poorly dressed superhero pals. They're all having a gay old time, but Iron Man's neglecting them to tinker in his lab because he's a staunch workaholic, in addition to other types of aholic. Spidey asks him to come out and socialize, but he justifies his absence by saying he can afford to just throw super expensive gifts at everyone every year to make up for never hanging out with any of them. And of course his gifts are all kind of narcissistic and just extensions of his own aesthetic rather than something from the heart. Even in the comics, he's always giving people red and gold crap as a way to emotionally manipulate them. But after falling asleep in his lab, Anthony the Manthony is visited by three, co-workers who are still very much alive, and it's a Christmas Carol with superheroes! Yes! Guardians blue-balled us like Yondu in November, but this one's snowballing us like a Wendigo and Bendigo. I'm really tired inside. We see in the past, present, and future that young Tony's holidays sucked because of his absentee father. The other Avengers currently think Iron Man is a total flake for never being around. If he doesn't spend more time with his bros, Tiny Tim Spider-Man could just flat out die. And one day, he'll be a lonely old loser in an empty billion-dollar building with no one to share it with. Getting some harsh lessons today. He wakes up reinvigorated by the Christmas spirit and wants to turn it all around before it's too late. Thus, Iron Man learns a lesson that having the biggest and most expensive Christmas gifts doesn't always make up for a lack of quality time with those you care about, and that the holidays aren't a contest to be won. This special takes time to really explain the meaning behind the phrase, "It's the thought that counts." Because even broke-ass Spider-Man's cheap gifts mean a lot more than any $20,000 piece of junk. I like the message in this one. The story is simple but effective, and it just feels like a relaxed, low-stakes little hangout session on the holidays with the Avengers. One day when I have kids of my own, I could definitely see myself showing this to them around the cold seasons. It's better than I expected, and it's got a lot of heart. Wow, we're really ending strong this year. Not having seen the spin-off material, here's what I've gathered. Merry Little Batman features one of the most lighthearted Batmen in the multiverse. He might even be more upbeat than Adam West. I think it's funny that Luke Wilson doesn't even do a more intimidating voice when he dons the cape and cowl.
All these years you show up out of nowhere? Is that your opener?
This Batman is all about exuding warmth and friendliness. I don't think he's ever had a Robin before in this iteration, though he is still mentioned in the song.
Robin laid an egg.
But little Damian Wayne aspires only to be Batman, and there's no mention of Robin or him ever taking up that mantle. I guess at one point Talia al Ghul dropped off Damian when he was still a baby, and Bruce put in the work to make Gotham the safest city in America. Retired as Batman and raised the kid from there with the intention of giving him the most comfortable and well-adjusted childhood possible because he didn't have that. So while it's nice that Damian wasn't raised to be an assassin, his dad's a really over-the-top helicopter parent. And thus this cute little adorable crazy side universe that we have here. In this special, it's around the holidays when Damian is 8 years old, and Batman is called out of retirement by the return of Gotham's criminals, who are a little over the hill at this point. Alfred is out trying to make a shopping trip to the city, and Damian is left to his own devices while some Joker henchman puts him into a Home Alone scenario. They steal his prized possession, a utility belt he inherited from Bruce, and he's hell-bent on getting it back. The issue is not that he's incapable or helpless. In fact, he's naturally very skilled at fighting bad guys. But he creates way more collateral damage than superheroes 10 times his size. Naturally, the Joker decides to use this to his advantage and manipulates Damian Wayne to unintentionally destroy Christmas all over town, ruining shopping centers and crashing the Gotham City holiday parade. He's the real agent of chaos because he's not even trying to be. He's like a walking Final Destination kill. He just creates pandemonium everywhere by simply existing. The real standouts of this special are the surprisingly intricate action set pieces, the sense of humor that lands way more often than it doesn't, even for me as an adult.
Calm down. I've faced situations more dire than this before. I'll handle it.
And the wonderfully quirky art design and beautiful animation. These character designs seemed off-putting at first when I saw the film's marketing, but in motion they are incredibly charming. These characters all have such unique silhouettes and lanky proportions. They kind of remind me of old political cartoons you used to see in newspaper strips, but also with like a little bit of a Tim Burton touch to them. This is such a memorable and cute art style that really accentuates the comedy. I also gotta give props to David Hornsby as the Joker. I didn't think that would work, but now that I've heard it, I guess you could say I'm a fan, boy in Chum Chum. The pizza manager from Alien vs. Predator Requiem? A voice actor?
What do you want, Joker?
Oh, you know your Uncle Joker, always stirring the pot.
Bruce Wayne is often criticized in the comic fandom for some questionable parenting practices, even though he does definitely love his kids. But this version of him is the best dad ever, even if he's overprotective.
Thank goodness I found you. Are you okay? You have any boo-boos?
I like how part of making a funnier version of Batman here wasn't making him any less competent as a superhero. He's still a badass. He's just got a different set of priorities, and a very clearly different outlook. Plus, Damian himself is a really lovably affable protagonist too. He's a rascal, but he's still likable and you really empathize with him. I tend to dislike most versions of this character I encounter in Batman adaptation media because he's usually written like such a bratty little hard ass. But it makes sense because most other versions of this character come from a really traumatic background. In a way, it's nice to glimpse into a world where his childhood had a way better outcome and he became a more well-rounded and stable kid. Sure, it's not comic accurate, but it's strictly not trying to be, and I put this in the new take complimentary category. I can absolutely see the appeal of following up on this particular iteration of these characters, so the spin-off series makes a lot of sense. I haven't had a chance to watch that show yet, but I'm all for more varied takes on the Batman mythos. We can have the dark, gritty adult show with boring animation, and the fun and kiddie show that's actually nice to look at. There's room enough for two goats, even though one of them is vastly more fun to watch. I think I have the same bad habit as the rest of the internet, where it's hard for me to compliment something without also putting something else down in comparison, which takes the kindness out of the compliment. It's something I think we all gotta work on. This movie is really good. Batman vs. Robin. That movie sucks ass. They completely butchered the Court of Owls storyline to make it about that shrimpy little jackass. I really don't have enough time in the day or in this video to list off all the positive things I have to say about Merry Little Batman. This is by far my favorite superhero Christmas special I've reviewed since we started doing this tradition on the channel. This is the gold standard. I can't recommend this one enough, especially if you have little ones to watch it with who like Batman and superheroes. They'll have a blast, but you as an adult will have a good time too, because it's just so well made. Alright, I guess it's time for our annual mental health and channel status update. It's been a rough one, kids, I'm not gonna lie. However, I think the channel is doing amazingly well this year. This might be the best year we've had so far since I started this thing in terms of sustainability. It's just that everything else got immensely more expensive at the same time, which kind of canceled it out. If the channel was performing like it is now, let's say 5 years ago, I'd have been set. But for my viewers who aren't in the United States right now, everything has gotten way harder on all of us living here this year. Even people with much more financially stable, quote-unquote normal jobs among my friends and family have been struggling. I'm used to living paycheck to paycheck chasing my ridiculous pipe dream, but it sucks when I see people I know who work at an office job that requires special schooling and a college degree are also scraping by. If you ever hear any bitterness in my voice for the ruling class, it's because cat food is $40 now. But if you have the means and desire to do so, you can help keep the channel afloat for next year and beyond by checking all the usual description links. I got a really cheap Patreon that'll have some cool exclusive stuff next year. You can buy stuff from my eBay. We got merch, and heck, you could just use my Fortnite creator code. Surprisingly, that saved my bacon a couple times this year during the recession.
Empires will rise and crumble, but Fortnite is immovable, eternal.
It's easy for me to get really sardonic and bitchy around the holidays when the year in review just feels like getting kicked when you're down for 12 straight months. But I want to keep things in perspective and remember that I still have a lot to be thankful for. I have some incredibly loyal friends and family who always have my back when I'm struggling, and I'm grateful to lean on them when I need the emotional support to keep this whole crazy experiment running. And for the people who helped me with my artistic exploits, thank you to Ben, Zach, Becky, Muzzy, Saitonius, Jacob, Joey, William, Marshall, Diego, Molly, and way more for all your contributions to the channel this year. I love you guys. I'm coming up on 4 years of marriage now with my wonderful, beautiful wife, who just this month became a full-fledged American citizen. Now you're stuck here, chump! Now you're stuck here with the rest of us! And of course, I have all of you guys. I'm always surprised by how loyal and supportive complete strangers have been to me in this community, and you guys pay my bills by just showing up, watching the stuff that I make, donating what you can, and keeping the dream alive. I'll never take you for granted. Thank you for keeping me going through 2025. I'm really lucky to have survived this year, and I know next year I'll be saying the same thing. You guys rock, and you're the heart of this channel just as much as I am. Happy holidays, everybody. I'll see you next year. I always get mad at YouTube for not putting my videos in the subscription box because people will comment, "Finally, Xavier uploads again after all these years," not knowing 3 other videos came out within the last month already. So maybe that stupid bell icon thing will help you remember I exist. If you want other ways to support the channel, you can always go hit up that Patreon for early videos and exclusive stuff because it's just $1. I'm not kidding, it's only $1. Isn't that cool? If just 5% of the people subscribed to me donated only $1 a month, I could make videos even faster and keep my house. You can also check out our merch on TeePublic, or just buy some of my random stuff on eBay. I have a pretty substantial collection of old toys that are still in the box in perfect condition, so go take a look in case you find something you like. And lastly, since this is a YouTube video and you probably play Fortnite, drop my creator code XavierGM next time you buy a silly dance or a cool character skin. Really helps me out. See you next time!